Okay, so we're learning to create a mobile, studying Alexander Calder, and before we studied Alexander Calder, we are creating op art designs. We talked about Bridget Riley and op art. Op art, again, is optical illusion. Each piece, for instance, this student was able to create a piece that went from a circle and gradually changed into a star. Each piece has a wonderful op art design on it. After she was done with each of these pieces that went from small to large, about 2 inches to 8 inches, we took a small hole puncher and punched 2 holes on the top, small holes about 1/4 of an inch apart, on the top of each one of these pieces. Okay, so we're gonna learn today how to put it together using the wire and using balance in order to create a spinning mobile. So the first thing we're going to do is take the 2 smallest pieces. I'm going to take a piece of wire, making sure that the wire doesn't get all crinkled up, because it's important that the integrity of the wire stays nice and linear and straight. So I'm going to put the wire through one of the holes, and then I'm going to take my wire cutters and I'm going to bend it just enough that it would go right through the hole, like that. So as you can see, it's kind of bent like this, and then I'm going to take it and go through the other side like that, very gently, because we don't want anything to happen to the piece. And then once it goes through, we're going to take it and push it down like that, so it would look like this. Okay, then we're going to take the other piece, which is the next smallest piece. You always want to start with the smaller pieces. We're going to push it through and do the same exact thing. I'm going to turn it so that it makes a hook and it goes right through the other hole. And you want to make sure that it goes right through it. You don't want to rip the piece, okay? So as it goes through, then I'm going to take the wire cutters, the pliers, and bend it down so that it stays secure. Then what you want to have, you can take them and bend them so that they're adjacent from each other, and they're hanging in a way that you want them to spin on the mobile. So the next thing that I'm going to do is the more difficult thing, and what I'm going to do is find the balancing point. Now, because this piece is bigger than this piece, you know that the balancing point isn't going to be in the middle of the wire, because the weight is a little bit heavier on this side. So just as you could imagine 2 people on a seesaw, the middle of the seesaw would be closer to the person that was a little bit bigger, okay? So if I go here to the very middle, you can see that it falls over. So what I'm going to do is take the pliers and open it and put it a little bit closer to the larger piece until it balances. And then when I find that balancing point, right there, the balancing point, you see it's a tiny bit, like 1/4 of an inch over towards the bigger piece. Once you get it, clamp down, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to make a little hook inside your wire. So what I'm going to do is take the 2 pieces, push the wire down like this around the wire, because this is the balancing point, okay? Then I'm going to take the wires out to the edge like this, and I'm going to push these 2 pieces back the way that they were. I'm going to take it to the other edge and do the same thing. I'm going to try to make a loop with this wire, but I still want the pieces to be sticking up like this. So it makes kind of like an upside down smile, and then there's a little loop in the middle, okay? So after this, what we have are fishing swivels. Now, you don't have to use the fishing swivels, but if you want to make the mobile spin around and around, and remember that a mobile is a piece of kinetic art, so we're using the energy of the wind in the room in order to do that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this fishing swivel, open it up, and I'm going to put it right here on this point, and you see that it still balances like this. And then I'm going to close the fishing swivel up, and then I'm actually going to come in and I'm going to close this hole so that it doesn't move on the wire and that it stays very secure. So here's the beginning of the mobile. Now the next piece is going to be the next largest piece, and you want to make sure that you cut the wire so that this piece will spin around these pieces without touching it. So you want to make sure that the wire goes from the balancing point out about 1/2 inch to 1 inch farther than the other two pieces. So this piece here, you don't want it to be too big, but we'll make it about right here because we can always make it smaller. So this piece comes out like this. That might be a little bit too far, okay? So what I'm gonna do is cut it like 1/2 inch because we don't want it sticking out too far because we have to have room for all of them as we go. Okay, we have to compensate for the turns that we're gonna make in the wire, so we'll make it a couple inches. Can you see that? A couple inches bigger. So same process, I'm going to take this wire through the 2 holes in the top and bend it just like I did with the first 2, okay? Except this wire is only going to have 1 piece attached to it. It's not going to have 2 pieces attached to it. I'm going to take it and bend it, okay? Making sure that it goes through the second hole because you don't want to rip the paper. So I have the hook like this, and I need to hook it enough so that it goes through the second hole, like this, and it goes right through that hole, okay? And then I'm gonna take the wire again and secure this, push it down so that it looks like this. And then you want it to have a nice arch, so you don't want to mess with the wire too much, right? Then what I'm going to do on this end of the wire is I'm going to make a hook. How do I make the hook? I'm going to take my skinny pliers and I'm going to bend the end of it all the way back like this, okay? Then I'm going to take my pliers down to this point and I'm going to bend this point down like this, so I make another hook. Okay, then what I'm going to do is to take the fishing swivel, put it on the hook like this. Then I'm going to take that hook and I'm going to close it up so that it doesn't go anywhere. So now this piece should be wide enough that this piece can spin around, right, on the inside of it. But what we have to do now is find the balancing point between this piece and this piece. And if you can see that, because these are 2 and this has a fishing swivel and all this other stuff on it, what you want to do is make sure that your balancing point, you know, is going to be a little bit closer to the heavier part. So the balancing point is right there. I'm going to close it up, bend it just like I did the first time, and then I'm going to bring the wires to the outside of that loop. So here's the loop. I'm going to bring the wires to the outside of the loop and bend it back up again on both sides. Look at that. Okay, so I have that nice loop and it's still, check your balancing point, make sure that it's still balanced. Then I'm going to take another swivel And I'm going to put it in that little hook that we just made at that balancing point. So this is a really good exercise in finding balancing points and understanding visual balance as well as physical balance. So I'm going to take that fishing hook right there, secure it. I guess it's a swivel, not a hook. I'm going to close that up so that it doesn't move. Okay, make sure that it's still balanced and that the pieces can spin around each other like this. Okay, so then we're going to do it again with the next biggest piece. down themselves, like this. And that's how you make a mobile. Thanks for watching.